Okay, so hello guys. Today we are going to solve problem number 933. Okay, so lead code problem 933. Okay, so here I am going to share my screen with you so that everything will visible to you. Okay, so we are going to solve this problem number of the recent call. Okay, so you have a system that receive request that is pings. Okay, so you have a system that receive a pings at different times. Okay, each request has a time t in millisecond. For every new request you must answer. So how many requests happen in the last 3000 millisecond including current ones? Okay, so here we have different pings 1, pings 100, pings 300, 3001, pings 3002. Okay, so you can see here this problem on lead code also. It took time. Okay, so this is the problem 933. Number of recent call. Okay, I already solved this problem. So here we are going to define this function. Okay, and here this is the problem. You have recent counter class which count the number of the recent request with a certain time. Okay, so we are going to count the number of requests at a certain time. Okay, so here a recent counter is the class I already use. I mean I'm going to use this class. Okay, and ping. What is ping? That is should be an integer t. Once time add a new request at a time t. So we are going to I mean in this code we are going to add new request at a time t where t represent the some time in millisecond, sorry, and return the number of the request that has happened in the past 3000 millisecond including the new request. Okay, okay, so return the number of the requests that have happened in the include range t minus 3000 t. Okay, so here like this is our input recent counter ping. Okay, so recent counter empty ping 1. I'm going to add ping 1. Okay, after this I'm going to add 100. After this I'm going to add 3001, and after this I'm going to ping 3002. Okay, so I got an output 1233. Okay, so how we got it? So here we can see ping 1. Okay, so here I receive one request. Okay, you have system that receive request, that is ping, so I receive ping 1. Okay, at different time. So we are going to calculate this time 3 minus, sorry, t minus 3000. Okay, okay, so already given in the problem how many requests happen in the last 3000 millisecond. Okay, so that's why I'm going to subtract t with the 3000. Okay, so what is our t? That is 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 minus 1, subtract with the 3000. So I got minus 299. Okay, so before we have empty queue, after append this ping, so I got ping t. After appending ping t, so I got 1 here. Okay, so we can check this condition. This 1 is less than minus, like at index 0 what I have in my queue. Okay, so it is in I have 1. Okay, after adding 1, so now we are going to check that this 1 is less than minus 29999. No, but is greater than this element. Okay, so we don't need to pop, and q after I mean after adding q will become 1 and it will return 1. Okay, so I'm going to explain code here after writing some line of piece of code. Okay, so here I'm going to import from collections. I'm going to import Deque. Okay, and here this is our class equals to, already said that in code, recent. Okay, so this is our class recent counters. So this is our class. Okay, here I'm going to define one function that is, or you can say in constructor, that is init self colon. Okay, I'm going to define q self dot q equals to dq. Okay, so here I'm going to store q. Okay, element of q, and here I'm going to define one function. Okay, that is ping means we are going to receive request here in this function. So here ping, I'm going to pass self, and as a parameter I'm going to pass tt is time. Okay, and here I'm going to write self dot q. Okay, this is q. I'm going to append in this q what? I'm going to append time. Okay, so here this is t, and here I'm going to write while loop. So while self dot q and self dot q 0, at index 0 what we have, then we need to check this condition less than t minus 3000. Self dot q dot pop left, and here it will return length of q. Length of q. Okay guys, so first of all I initialize one q. Okay, so self dot q equals to dq. Okay, so ping self dot t, so I'm going to take ping 1 here, t equals to 1. Okay, I'm going to use this formula t minus 3000. Okay, so here I'm going to use while loop self dot q and self dot q at index 0 what we have, 1. Okay, inside q, this is our q. Okay, so this is empty, and we are going to check this condition at index 0 what we have. So initially we don't have anything, and but after adding 1 it has first element. Okay, then I need to calculate this condition t minus 3000. Okay, before q is empty. Okay, after adding append will become 1. Okay, and we are going to check this condition 1 and minus 3000, so I got minus 299. Okay, and we are not, like, this condition, initially this condition is fail because q q before we had 0. Okay, and we don't need to remove any element. Okay, and here we just append the t means 1. Okay, self dot q, I'm going to append t, that is 1. Here I'm going to add 1 inside this. Here append 1 self dot q and self dot q 0. Now I have one element inside this. At index 0 I have 1. Okay, so 1 is less than 1 minus 3000. Okay, so this condition will fail, so we don't need to use pop left. Okay, and we don't need to execute this. No, now here we don't need to execute these two lines. Okay, then it will return length of q. So I added 1 and its length is 1. Okay, after 1 I'm going to take 2. So t equals to, sorry, t equals to 100. Okay, here ping equals to 100. Okay, now we are going to check. Okay, 100. Here I'm going to calculate t minus 3000. Okay, so after after subtract 100 with 3000, so I got 2900. Okay, so before I have one element inside this queue. Okay, Now after append t, so it will become 1 and 100 here in this line. Okay, now we are going to we have q at 0 index. What we have? 1. So here I am going to check that 1 is less than with 2 900. No, this condition is also false. Okay, then we don't need to execute this and we just write the length. So length before we have 1, now after adding 100 it will become 2. So it will return 2 here. You can see I had written 2 here. Okay, now I'm going to take ping 3001. Okay, t equals to 3001 here. Then it will append okay, 3001. I'm going to calculate 1 minus, sorry, t minus 3000. Okay, so in 3001 you are going to subtract 3000. So I got 1 here. Okay, so before I have 1 and 100 in my queue. Okay, so now after adding 3000, so it will become 100 and 3001, 1 comma 100 comma 3001. Okay, so this is our queue after adding t. Now we are going to check self.q. Okay, so we have element in queue that at q at index 0, what we have? 1. Okay, so here I'm going to compare 1 is less than 1. This condition is also false, so we don't need to pop. Okay, so we added now our queue will become 1 comma 100 and 3001. Okay, and its length is increased by 1. Okay, here again I'm going to take 3002. Okay, so after calculating t minus 3000, so I got 2 here. So before I have these element 1 comma 100 comma 3001 inside the queue. Now after appending 3002, it will become 100 3001 and 3002. Now we are going to check q. Okay, and self dot q0. So I have 1. Okay, that is less than 2. This condition is true. Now we are going to remove first element. Self dot q dot pop left means it will remove the element from the left side, that is first element. Okay, so I got after removing 1 from here, I got 100 3001 and 3002. Okay, and its length is 3. So I hope you got it. So number of recent call is 3. So this is our output.